What's up, collectors? We're talking about winter movies, and I got me an expert on summer movies for some reason to talk about.
Well, it's best Oz.
Oh no, what happened to the bee?
We had to replace yours, right?
Don't go to Jamaica
I talked to
and do
multiple
handstands
people.
in the gym.
Is that what happened?
All right, here we go.
You need snow. You can do a snow effect?
We don't have the budget for that. What's up, collectors? Welcome back to Films by Color. I'm joined by John again today.
Hey, guys.
Because we're doing another big list movie. We're doing our top 10 winter movies, keeping the season videos going. We did summer. That's what started this whole thing, because you have a book out from TCM.
I do. We did
summer
autumn.
movies. We did autumn. Now we're doing winter.
Yep.
Long time coming. We needed a year in between.
It has been a whole year.
To really
It's been a full year, guys.
get into the winter movie list. But
Actually, 2 winters later.
it actually, all joking aside, this is the hardest one because I feel like there are so many more winter movies than fall movies.
It's the hardest one so far. I'm not looking forward to spring.
Spring's going to be a mess. Well, don't even talk about that. Spring's going to be a mess. But winter, there's so many winter movies and so many good ones.
And so many directions you could go in, too. Because I think we both decided to avoid Christmas.
Couple caveats.
That's a whole different...
Yeah, right off the bat. We decided to just cut Christmas right out because more than half of my list would have been Christmas movies because I love Christmas movies. There's so many good Christmas movies.
Yeah, and putting like It's a Wonderful Life at the top of my list just doesn't... great movie, obviously, but it's not the right theme for this.
My favorite movie of all time. But yeah, I left it off this list. Also, like, people know My Night at Maud's is like one of my favorite movies ever, but I'm trying to keep... We'll maybe briefly throw out some of those that were on the cusp at the end of the video, because there's some that were like, you could count it as Christmas movie. It could just be a winter movie. So.
There's a couple of mine that still have Christmas in it, but it's maybe just there.
It's not a main
It's there.
thing. It's not a main theme.
Yeah.
So we're just going to talk about winter movies, whether they are, and it's kind of a similar thing to fall movies where it's like you have the autumnal leaves for fall and you have snow for winter. And it was really hard for me to get away from snow movies. It's like mostly snow movies. I have a couple.
Because at a certain point, you see so many and you're like, if it doesn't have snow in it, I'm like, what is this? I'm not going to use this.
So we'll get into it. We each have 10, and we've got a few honorable mentions as well. Strap in. This is going to be a longer podcast-style video. I'm probably not going to edit it. I'm probably just going to let it be as it is.
Grab yourself some coffee. This is going to be a long one.
Yes, we do have our coffee.
Buckle up. It is what temperature outside?
72, and it was this genius idea to wear sweaters for this video. So we're roasting for your winter aesthetic pleasure.
Yeah, I wanted earmuffs and a scarf, and maybe one of those hats with the tassels.
Yeah, I do have a little penguin on mine. That's very wintry.
Look at that. Think about that.
Anyway, let's talk some winter movies. Let's jump into it. I'll let you start, and we'll go back and forth, 10-1, and just jump right into it. Talk about some winter movies. Your favorite. This is personal favorites. We're not trying to be objective. No one cares. We don't care about that.
I will say, I just want to also preface that the last 2 videos, I don't think we had any overlap, really, right, with the movies we picked.
Yeah, we're very different people.
But I thought on this one we might. So I went through Grace, your sweet wife. She's wonderful.
She is.
And kind of threw my list towards her and just said, if any of these are already on his list, tell me, because I will take them out. But we didn't really have any overlap, as it turns out.
There's a lot of winter movies.
There's a ton
That's what I'm saying.
Ton to pick from.
So what is the bottom of your favorites? What just made the list?
Okay, so I started working on this like 2 years ago, after we did autumn movies, and I saw this a long time ago, and it was one that I found by just Googling like movies set in winter. I'd never really heard of this movie before.
Oh, you put a new one on the list. Interesting.
Yeah.
Most of mine are like
stuff that
personal
you had,
favorites.
Okay.
I did watch one for this that made my list. But anyway, sorry to interrupt.
This is a Japanese movie from 1947. I don't know that it has a physical release. I do not have one with me. I watched this on the...
Is it Ozu?
No.
Oh, what is this?
I watched this on the Criterion Channel, and I watched it again this week because I needed to refresh myself because it had been so long.
Yeah.
It literally has the word snow in the title.
Oh, I don't know what this is. Oh, okay. Is it the snow lady? Lady of the Snow?
Lady Snowblood?
Lady Snowblood.
No.
Ah.
Although... That's good too, but it really only has snow in the beginning and the end of the movie.
Okay.
Really fun movie, but not.
It's really about percentages. How much winter is in the movie?
This is called Snow Trail.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
1947. This was written by Akira Kurosawa. Not directed. He has a really good friend named Senkichi Taniguchi who directed, and I guess they kind of worked together a lot later on. But this is maybe Taniguchi's like not his most famous, but I don't know what he's really famous for. So. One of his biggest ones that I've seen. This is a movie about, it's post-war, and it's sort of in that when they were making, well, they made noir everywhere post-war, right? Yeah. And Kurosawa was starting to do he did Stray Dog and Drunken Angel and some of those like thematically similar things. This is about 3 bank robbers who in the winter flee the city into the mountains to get away from law enforcement, right? And so the police are chasing them. The very first scene is the police and the reporters that they're talking to explaining where the robbers have gone and what they're going to encounter. So it kind of sets up geographically in the beginning. Mm-hmm. There's a spa, a thermal spa thing that they'll probably come to first, and sure enough they do. And then there's a little hut in the mountains. And then there's this place. There's this other
so they lay it out
lodge.
It's like a video game. You're getting a little tutorial.
Yeah,
interesting.
The levels you go to, and they're if they go here and they're not experienced mountaineers, they're probably going to be in danger, right? And there's danger of avalanches and stuff. And if the weather's really bad,
so it's a survival movie.
It's kind of a survival movie.
I've noticed that. There'll be some recurring themes that we'll talk about. The winter, there's a lot of things that winter represents in movies that seems to be definitely coming up a lot.
And the three guys are very different in personality, and so the personalities clash. Have you ever seen Treasure of the Sierra Madre?
Yeah, similar.
So it's kind of like that.
I thought of that. I also thought of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Mm-hmm. 3 guys kind of going on the run from the law. And stuff.
Fugitives from justice or whatever.
That's cool. I'd love to see that. It seems like it's very influential because it's so early, 1947.
And it has Toshiro Mifune, the actor who's in all the big Kurosawa films.
Yeah, he's in High and Low?
This is his first movie.
Oh, wow.
And also the actor, he's one of the robbers. One of the other actors is Takashi Shimura, who is also in all of those. He was also in High and Low.
Oh.
Or all of those Kurosawa's movies. And he played, he's the lead in Ikiru a few years later, which also has a wonderful... that movie.
That cover is snowy. The Criterion cover is in snow. But not enough snow? Not enough winter?
I think it was really that final scene. I mean, I guess the whole movie kind of is.
There's stuff like that, and we'll mention some of those. I actually have some honorable mentions at the end. There was just one iconic scene that's all snowy, but nothing else really.
Anyway, this is it's a really involving, moving, because they kind of have this moral dilemma at a certain point about what they're doing, and honor, and, love, and all these things. So it covers a lot of territory, but it's only an hour and a half. So.
That's what we like. No, I've got some long ones on my list.
Check it out on Criterion's
Snow Trail. I like that you got snow. You found it by searching snow.
Yeah,
clearly.
Well, I think I found a list online that was best Japanese winter movies.
Oh, that's cool.
I think BFI or something.
I'm glad you got that because I had a couple Japanese movies that just missed my list. I'll mention them in honorable mentions, but
yeah,
I'm gonna go with my first one here, and this is a physical media channel, so we got to have the physicals.
For most of mine, I do have that. It's actually in the beginning of the list. I don't have as many, so it's kind of embarrassing.
No worries. It doesn't have to be, but I will say, Polish film, which probably gives it away. It is, and I don't have the Criterion of this. I do have all my movies in a Criterion bag, so John can't see them over here. But this one is Trois Couleurs Blanches. 3 colors white.
This guy's been doing his Duolingo.
3 colors white. This is such a good movie. And I watched it for the first time just a couple months ago. And I had no idea that it was a winter movie. Christmas,
it's called White, for God's sake.
Exactly. And it plays into the themes, obviously. There's a reason he said it in the winter. It takes place in Poland. I don't know if you know, have you seen this one? You've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it, but that's the one I've seen the least.
It's the one that never gets talked about. Blue, because you got
Julie
Binoche right in the front, and then you got Red. Always gets talked about because it's supposed to be the most. I still haven't seen Red. I'm excited to see it.
Red got the most acclaim, I think, when it came out too. So
this is the middle one. This is the only one with a male protagonist. He is a very sorry, sad sack of a married man who is impotent and he can't please his wife, who played by the lovely Julie Delpy, who is the worst in this. If you want to see Julie Delpy just play the opposite role of the Before trilogy, she is. He has no. He's got rock bottom, and it kind of plays into the theme because she can't stand him anymore. Divorces him, takes everything from him. He has literally nothing. He gets back into his home country of Poland in a suitcase, and he has nothing. And it's kind of the same way winter just ravishes everything, and then in spring it all has to start from nothing. He has to build his whole life back up from nothing. And it's a revenge movie, which I historically do not like. I can't think of any other revenge movie that I enjoy. It's a genre that I don't like. This is the only revenge movie that I really, really liked because it's so different from any revenge movie I've ever seen. Tragic ending. I'm not going to give away too much. I probably already have given away too much, but I really want people to watch it because Kieslowski is incredible.
He's so good. Everything he's made is great.
And apparently some of the Decalogue that he's done is also, which is back there, I haven't watched yet, but it's also, some of them take place during winter. So excited to see that. If you don't know the shtick of the Three Colors trilogy, it is the three colors of the French flag, and each one represent, colors and flags represent different things. The white represents equality, and it's this man trying to get back up on the level because the relationship was, he just...
With his wife.
Yeah, specifically with that. He's trying to... Yeah, it's not like trying to make like grand statements, I don't think. I think it's very personal. Kieslowski does very personal movies. But in the same way he took the Decalogue and made each episode about a different Ten Commandment, he makes this about the different tenets of the flag. I don't remember what red and blue are, but I know that white is about
fraternity
equality.
And equality and something.
It's fascinating. There's a lot to think about. It is very... And the snowy, wintry atmosphere totally adds to it because he's just kind of this hollow, empty shell of a man who's trying to finally reach his final form, I guess. And it's great. It's so good. I had such a great experience with it.
This one's in Polish, right? Is it in Polish or just in Poland? Okay.
I think it is in Polish.
Because the other two are in French and made in France.
I don't.
But he's Polish.
I don't know if this one might be in French too, just to be consistent. Yeah. I don't speak either language, so I wasn't even paying attention. I was just reading the subtitles.
I've always known it as the odd one out because again, like you said, nobody talks about it.
But it's so interesting. I love his characters.
I need to revisit that.
White is so good. Everyone check it out if you haven't seen it. It's really good. Right. That's my number 10.
For my number 9, I have there's another movie by this director pair that probably is on your list, and I didn't go with that one.
I'm intrigued,
but I'm sure we'll get to it at some point. It is Inside Llewyn
Davis. Of course. Yes, that's their second most famous winter movie.
Well, I don't know if people think of this as a winter movie, but
I've never seen it.
It's definitely...
That's one of the few Coen brothers we haven't seen yet.
Oh, okay. I'll just leave that
just leave it
for
here.
You. So
it's got an orange cat in it.
So it's Oscar Isaac as a 60s folk musician who had a partner, and his partner has passed away, and so he's on his own.
Interesting.
And it's one of these movies where, they did Serious Man and Barton Fink. Big Lebowski is one of these where it's person caught in this absurd, surreal situation that they can't get out of and a nightmare.
It says
everything weird
circular Odyssey right here. After Hours?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit like that. Kind of. I mean, he makes tons of bad decisions, which is why...
I have to mention that in every video, so... I have to mention that movie.
After Hours?
Yeah, I have to get it in there.
Is that a winter movie?
No, it's not. It's a rainy movie. Maybe spring.
That's true. We can throw it in. Who knows? Who knows what season that is? But he's a folk musician, and he's kind of down on his luck, and he does side gigs for he appears. There's actually Justin Timberlake shows up in this movie. And
weird.
They bring in a couple studio musicians to record this song "Dear Mr. Kennedy," which is really funny. And anyway. And then he goes on the road to perform with the group, and then he turns into a road movie briefly. John Goodman has a great part. F. Murray Abraham has a great part. Carey Mulligan is his not really girlfriend, but sort of
John Goodman and Coen Brothers is all you had to say. I'm sold.
And there's a cat.
I see that.
Possibly two cats.
Oh, interesting. Is he a pregnant cat?
The cat runs off at one point, and he gets another cat, and then it's a question of is it the same cat or not? It looks the same.
Interesting. But does the winter play a role in the?
I just think it's all set during the winter, and everyone's bundled up, and everything's bleak, and the cinematography is beautiful.
Okay.
And I think it has this sort of misty, kind of foggy quality to it that makes it feel cold. Okay. And the color is very graded down to a level where it almost is a black and white film, but it's wintry in the sense that it's the winter of his life, and there seems to be no hope for him.
Okay.
And stuff, and it's a comedy.
Well, they do dark comedies.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do just straight up comedies.
But it's also, I mean, it's one of those that like it's moving in a really unexpected way, and I think it is profound at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta watch it.
I do. It's on the short list, man.
It's a hard one to explain.
I didn't know it was a winter movie though. It doesn't. It's a cozy little cottage on the front. I didn't see it.
It's a cold movie.
Okay, so maybe not snowy, but just cold.
Well, there's snow. Yeah, there's snow and ice.
All right, man. I'm gonna give you my second one here. This is number 9. Not a DJ season list if I don't get, not a DJ top 10 list if I don't get a 2000s
Wes Anderson movie?
indie movie in here.
Oh, okay.
Got to get a 2000s indie movie.
Is there any animation on your list?
No, I'm not gonna spoil that yet. Hold on. Oh. But I got to get an indie movie on here with a soundtrack done by one singer-songwriter who does the whole soundtrack. We had Dan in Real Life on the fall list, and we had Little Miss Sunshine on the summer list.
Right.
This is a very formative time of filmmaking for DJ. It's Paper Man. Nobody remembers Paper Man.
You love this. You talk about it all the time.
I talk about it any chance I get because I love this movie. This is a Jeff Daniels, Emma Stone, Ryan Reynolds, Lisa Kudrow film. So Jeff Daniels is the main character. He's a writer, such as yourself. And he is suffering from extreme writer's block. I don't know if you've ever experienced such a thing. The movie is about, and I'll say how winter plays into it. The movie is about kind of like stagnation in literal sense, where he has experienced, he made his first book, he wrote his first book, sold no copies, huge failure, and now he cannot start his second book. He's gone out to a cabin. His wife has like pushed him out to a cabin, so he has nothing to do but write this book, and he's just sitting there on his typewriter, like completely can't even start it. And it's also about like emotional stagnation. He is a very emotionally stunted character. He has a imaginary friend who he still talks to, played by Ryan Reynolds in superhero garb, in my favorite Ryan Reynolds performance ever. He's great in this. So there's a lot of scenes where he's just talking to him. He's not even there. So there's a lot of, so it obviously plays into winter. Mm-hmm. Winter is this season of stagnation where everything goes into hibernation and completely stops.
I feel like emotional stuntedness is a theme too in my films.
We'll definitely talk about that. Isolation. Also a big theme for winter movies.
Or like feeling trapped.
Exactly. This is exactly what he's. Yep. He's trapped. He goes to this like coastal New England town, and he's just staying all by himself in this cabin. He has no one. He's completely isolated. He can't get anything done. And then this little bit of human warmth comes through, and that is Emma Stone, who plays Abby, who is this wonderful character. She's also emotionally stunted from a traumatic event that happened in her past. She lost somebody. That's all I'll say. I don't want to spoil it because it's kind of a big reveal. She lost somebody in her past. She hasn't been able to get over it. She has no one in this town. She has this like boyfriend who just treats her like dirt, and they start a friendship. It's a friendship movie. An unlikely friendship movie.
So is rom-com, would you say? Rom-drum?
No rom, but
no rom. Interesting.
But it's just kind of a dark comedy. It's a friendship relationship. There's no romantic relationship at all.
Okay.
His wife is Lisa Kudrow, who is a doctor, so he just feels completely inadequate. He can't. It's very kind of similar to the last movie that we just talked about. A lot of similar themes, but it is wonderful. Their relationship is great. The dialogue's great. The soundtrack is great. I love the gentleman who did all the songs. It's a very indie.
Who's the guy?
I don't know who did the music, but it's like what. You're watching an indie movie and they're driving down the street and it's showing the town go by and it's playing indie music with the guitar. That's my vibe. Like,
okay.
It's exactly the same as all the other ones I mentioned. Wonderful movie. And then there is a spring at the end. The winter ends and they help each other get through the time in their life, the winter in their life. So it's wonderful. I highly recommend it. Probably very, very specific. I imagine like for every 100 people that watch this, 5 people will like it. It's very, very specific comedy.
I see.
So I understand.
It's a personal pick.
Yeah, very personal. This is definitely the most personal probably on my list because it's not a classic at all. No one's ever heard of it.
Right.
But I love it. It's Paper Man. It's great.
I don't have my next one.
Okay. Because
I don't know that it's available.
Ooh.
Really. It really needs a Criterion release or something. Somebody get on this. It's a Canadian film.
Ooh.
With lots of snow, because it just snows up there, right?
It never stops.
Canadian viewers, chime in, let me know.
I don't think it ever stops snowing.
It doesn't stop snowing. This is by Adam McGoyan, who did Exotica. Did you see?
I did. I liked Exotica quite a bit. Not a winter movie.
So I guess Exotica did pretty well, and he got some money to make this next one. And it's actually, well, it doesn't have a huge cast, but it does.
Hyping it up really. I'm really excited.
As a main character.
Oh.
As a lawyer. And do you know Sarah Polley, who did like Women Talking? She wrote and directed that and a couple other things. She's also an actress.
You're a big actor. You and Grace both. I don't think about actors as much as you guys do. I just think about the movies. But I'm glad you're here.
You see the same person in enough things, then it Yeah. But Ian Holm doing like Bilbo from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, nice. I love
Imagine him as a lawyer, right? This is called The Sweet Hereafter.
Oh.
You heard of that?
No, I haven't. Canadian film.
1997.
Okay.
I think it's always on the list of like top Canadian films too, which is cool. But
interesting.
It's basically about, and I don't know how much to share because I wasn't really
you don't have to.
around
Just
for the marketing of this movie. Okay, so a lawyer shows up in a small town in Canada. It's very snowy and wintry, and as it is, and there has been this tragedy in town. He's there to basically like talk to a bunch of the parents that are around because there was this tragedy involving the town's kids.
Ooh.
It's a little heavy. And this is the one I showed you a picture of the Pied Piper book.
Yes.
Like a little screenshot.
Oh, that's what started. What a tease that was.
You like your
Is it kind of
folktale,
thematically fairy tale-ish?
It is.
I'm excited.
Which is interesting because this is based on a
Criterion
book.
Channel, you said?
It is on Criterion Channel.
I'm gonna have to watch it.
It's based on a book that was pretty well. It sold pretty well. People knew it, and it was
Pied Piper, big hit.
But it wasn't. The Pied Piper wasn't a part of the original story. Like the filmmaker adapted the book and added this element to it, and the original author was like, "That's brilliant! I should have thought of that." But it's basically like, so the Pied Piper is the story of the guy who is hired by the town to get rid of the rats, and he does, and then the townspeople do not pay him, so he
steals the children,
steals off the children, and they never come back.
And he's supposed to be the good guy. Well, I guess it's not the good guy. It's your own consequences, I guess.
Yeah, it's a real.
So that plays in. So that plays into the actual theme of the movie.
Yes, and I'm not going to go into details about what exactly happens, but there's
intrigued.
An icy accident.
Oh.
And you learn about halfway through the movie what happens. And it kind of jumps back and forth through time, because Ian Holm plays a character whose adult daughter is like estranged because she's like addicted to drugs, and she's like made really poor life choices. And so he feels personally kind of like a parent whose child has gone astray. And that plays into his relationship as this lawyer who's basically just a sleazebag. He's trying to just play into people's emotions so he can sue whoever and then get, money out of it. But it's also, it's obviously like devastating a little bit because it's about what it is about. Watch the movie.
I'm fascinated. I'm very intrigued.
But it's so beautifully told. And the Pied Piper aspect of it is like this brilliant addition, and I think you'd really enjoy that part of it. Although as a parent, I don't know. Watch it and let me know.
We'll see. I might be coming after you after I watch this.
Beautiful movie though.
All right.
And a lot of you meet all the characters in the town, and the adults are like, they all kind of have problems. Mm-hmm. Like you can see why. Like the Pied Piper story is about the townspeople being terrible, and you can kind of see that in this movie too. So
interesting.
All that.
That actually...
good. It's so good. Rewatched it this week.
Interesting.
Preparation.
I haven't seen enough Canadian movies, so that's definitely going on the list. Yep. What's it called again?
It's called The Sweet Hereafter.
The Sweet Hereafter. Kind of a pretentious title, but hopefully the film lives up to it.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, let me sift through here because these are not in any order in the bag, but my number 8, and take the whole order of these with a grain of salt because it's impossible. Ranking these is kind of a pointless
except for the
exercise.
top few. I had a few that really meant a lot, and I wanted them at the top.
My ranking could change every day, okay. but this one had to make the list. Again, wouldn't be a DJ list if we didn't have one of Eric Rohmer's 4-season tales. This is A Tale of Winter by Eric Rohmer. He did this. So I had the last one was on the fall list. Summer was on the summer list. Summer is my favorite of these. Summer is my favorite. But
it's my favorite too.
Is my second favorite. Oh. And this, surprisingly, has a lot in common with Summer. It's kind of the gender flip of Summer, which is fascinating because this came first in 1992. Summer came out in 1996. But Summer is apparently about like very like things that actually happened to Eric Romer, like very drawn a lot of life inspiration for that one. So I wonder if this did too, and he just felt like he could actually share more of it. This, though, I will say, is very interesting because this plays into an area of his filmmaking that I've not experienced very much of. This is very Green Ray-ish. There's like a fairy tale quality to this one. A lot of his stuff is just very realistic, just very straightforward. That's the whole point. It's like you just get in these very realistic characters and their conversations that they're having. That's basically what an Eric Romer film is. And you learn a lot about the people through their conversations. This, though, has kind of this magical fairy tale quality, the same thing that the Green Ray has, but this uses the snow very much to enhance and punctuate that theme. It's about a woman who had this holiday. We don't know when it's years ago.
Summer holiday.
Many, many years ago, she had a summer holiday. So the first 5 minutes is not winter, but the rest of the movie is winter. I was like
totally where are we going to?
Yeah. So, but everything else is very wintry, and it's a summer holiday. She meets this guy. They completely fall in love. It's love at first sight. They have a wonderful time. Something happens with the number or the address, and they never see each other again.
Like she gives him the wrong address.
Something happens. Yeah, it gets mixed up. She has a kid from that holiday, and she is like Winter, another stagnation theme. She is stuck on him. Like he's like this Prince Charming that she is waiting for. She's still waiting. Like her daughter's like what, 8 or 9? Like she's pretty old. So she still has no relationship. She's also, and the reason I say it's similar to Summer is she's dealing with these 2 guys in her life. Just like in Summer, he's dealing with 2 women, or 3 women, I think. And in this, she has these 2 guys in her life. One that's kind of taking care of her. She's kind of living with and she's working for. He's kind of like her boss. He's like a hairdresser, and she's a hairdresser for his salon. And then this other guy that she also is but she doesn't like either of them because none of them can live up to the standard that she has for this guy. So she just kind of holds on, and it's an area that I've never seen Eric Romer explore because she has a kid and she's a parent, which he usually talks about like the young guys or young girls.
Single women or whatever.
This is very unique in his filmography, and I liked it a lot, and it resonated with me because of that stuff. I've never been a single parent, but if you're a parent in general, you know how you can realize how horrible that would be to be a single parent, to be doing it by yourself. And everything. There's just so much uncertainty, and all of it. I don't know. It all just plays into the winter theme perfectly. I like what he did with these Tales of the Four Seasons. They all have different aspects that are drawn to the fore because of the season that they're set in. And again, at the end, there is a spring. It is a fairy tale, and I don't want to say exactly what happens, but winter ends. And she comes out of it on top, or she comes out.
Green Ray,
very similar. Yeah.
But it's interesting that there's a scene in here where they do the Shakespeare play. She goes to watch the Shakespeare play, The Winter's Tale.
Oh yeah.
And
the Green Ray,
and she recognizes some of the aspects of her own life in it, and it really affects her.
Yeah, which is what happens when I watch an Eric Romer.
And then I wonder if that's where he got the idea for. I guess it must be like the idea to make this movie, and it was the first of the seasons, and then he just kind of took.
Well, and the Green Ray is based on a book. The Green Ray by Jules Verne. So very similar. If you like The Green Ray, which is I think his most accessible film for like a general audience, I think this is a good place to go after that, especially if you love female protagonists. It's wonderful. Had to get on the list. Could go up higher. I've only seen a lot of these once, so like I said, the ranking is superfluous. It could jump all around once I see him again.
7.
7? Is 7 a winter movie?
I have all the ones going forward here.
Okay, good.
Not 7. 7's good. It's bleak.
Bleak
is another theme I think we can go with. This is a Swedish movie.
Oh. Bergman?
No
Bergman?
No.
Interesting.
This is Thomas Alfredsson's Let the Right One In.
I want to watch this.
You want to borrow this?
Yes. I've heard so many good things about this.
I didn't know whether to say that this is a vampire movie, but look, on the front cover, it has the word vampire twice. So I feel okay in saying there's a vampire.
Is it like a sneaky vampire movie? Because like Kronos is a sneaky vampire movie. It's not not like Guillermo del Toro's version of vampires, which has to include bugs because it's Guillermo del Toro.
There's actually a Del Toro quote on the back of this saying how much he likes
Kronos is one that was on the... Because it has Christmas in it, has New Year's in it. I was just like, I'll throw it out.
I mean, it's not like, it's not like Dracula, right?
Yeah, No.
It doesn't have the traditional stuff of a vampire.
Yeah. This is one that I've seen on like fairy tale folklore lists. Like, is it kind of playing with those themes a little bit? Like, I know it's a very realistic depiction of that kind of stuff.
Find out.
I do want to watch this.
It's there's this kid, and it's all in winter, and it's Sweden, so of course, But I think the winter helps because vampires can't be in sunlight, and so if it's darker longer, then that probably helps. But vampires big problem in Alaska. There's like a 12-year-old boy who is bullied at school. He's kind of like scrawny and kind of whatever.
This is him with the knife here.
That's him with a knife.
Oh, he's got a.
And he starts like acting out like he wants to like take revenge on these kids.
Interesting.
And anyway, he meets a young girl who shows up mysteriously in his like apartment complex, and she only comes out at night, and she's kind of weird, and they form this friendship, this bond, and she kind of encourages him to stand up for himself too. But in the meantime, you see these murders happening.
I see one right here, very wintry on the back.
And it's basically like either her or her, I guess, father or guardian person who's like killing people in order to provide for her because she has to drink blood, right? So anyway, she ultimately helps the kid with his struggles with bullying, and it's also kind of like
isolation and
her
loneliness.
Story about it is.
You gotta have that in the winter.
So it's great, and it's beautifully made, and it's just like it's kind of sweet. Maybe is the wrong word, but it's it's about kids like trying to get through life.
Coming of age.
Aren't we all trying that?
I love me a good coming of age story.
It's shot by Hoyte van Hoytema. Do you know him? He did like Oppenheimer and Interstellar. And all this Dunkirk. He's worked with Nolan since then, but
interesting.
That was kind of his first big movie that he shot, I think. So it looks beautiful. It's very snowy and beautiful.
Well, I'm just going to keep all your movies. Give me Inside Llewyn Davis, and I'll take this one.
I think you own this.
Winter's over at this point,
Grace
though.
said you own this.
Okay. Well, she might have bought it in one of the sales.
Oh, maybe
she probably did, because she was buying all the Coen Brothers movies. But I wanted to make you feel good and feel like you get me something.
I don't need yours.
You've seen two of mine.
I have. Actually, I'll borrow Paperman.
I don't know what you'll think of Paperman. All right, what's my next one here? We're on 8. No, we're on 7. Well, we're making progress here. We're moving through
Flying through it, guys.
All right, next one.
It's only been an hour and a half, and we're on 7.
My next one is a brand new one that I just watched this year. Ooh. And it had to make the list because this movie's amazing. Markéta Lazarova.
Oh, you just watched that. You loved it.
Oh, I loved it so much. It is a Czech masterpiece.
Czech.
By František Vlašo. And it is the only film I've seen by him, but I have seen some other films with this cinematographer. I can't remember his name. Bodka, I think is his name. Just recently watched The Golden Fern, which got a Deaf Crocodile release from this the cinematography in this. It's otherworldly. It is in the winter. Is this? I mean, Czechs. I don't know how much it snows in Czechoslovakia.
A fair amount.
I'm sure it gets their fair share of snow. But man, it's beautiful. There's like wolves. You've seen this. You haven't seen this. No. So the wolves on the front are very. This looks like a pretty big.
I was supposed to in class at one point.
You didn't listen to. You didn't do your assignment.
No.
You should have. It's amazing. It's long. It's 165 minutes. So it's 3 hours. Worth every minute. Like, it is captivating.
Like Satan Tango worth every minute, or like?
Absolutely. I would put this up there with Satan Tango. It's wonderful. It is.
That was kind of a joke.
It is. I love Satan Tango.
It's a long movie. There's a lot.
And I would not cut a minute of Satan Tango. Right. This is the harshness of winter. It's like in medieval times, where winter was a problem. Like it was bad. And this has a huge booklet in it. I don't know why it has like a 40-page booklet. This is big for Criterion. I can't wait to dig into that. But loved this movie. So it's a medieval times. It takes place. There's like some themes of Christianity versus paganism. Christianity's overtaking paganism during this time period. Czech films don't usually like take place in like a actual historical period. They're just kind of like this vague, almost fairy tale. Like they love their fairy tale story. This is similar to
everything. Just looks old, right?
Yeah, it's like this mythical kind of. There's a mythic quality to this and a gravitas, everything's this is grandiose. Like, so there's this small village run by this guy who is still very pagan, and then there's the bigger army of the general who's coming in and trying to like convert everybody. That's actually in the background though. That's not a big thing. If that turns you off, it's not that big of a deal. But there is kind of this underlying theme of like, because religion, and I think that's why it's shot in black and white. Maybe it had to be 67. That's pretty late. It could have been a choice, but the snow absolutely plays into that themes of black and white. Religion wants to make everything black and white, like this one size fits all, like, you know, one solution for everyone to just jump on, whereas paganism was very much more just like, do your own thing. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. And there is this, Marketa Lazarova is the name of this character down here at the bottom. She is this beautiful, like, majestic, very young. I think she's only like 18 or so, and she's going to be a nun, and there's a purity to her and an innocence to her. And I do have to give a warning because there is something that happens to her that is very, very dark that happens right before she's about to be a nun, which you can probably tell. So yeah, warning, essay warning, I guess. That is very, very brutal scene. She's a very heart-wrenching character, but she's great the way she overcomes adversity and overcomes, you know, that's kind of what the whole, I think that's why it's set in winter, because winter is this like brutal, unforgiving, just harsh environment, which perfectly encapsulates the medieval, the medieval
struggle that the characters are going through.
Yeah, like the Middle Ages is just nonstop like torture, basically.
I feel like Andrei Rublev could have been all in snow. And it would have been the same.
It would have fit perfectly.
Actually, I don't remember.
I don't remember how much of that is in snow, but yeah, this
is like black and white. Really, I feel like
black and white fits perfectly.
Yeah.
The snow balances out black and white cinematography like perfectly.
Yeah,
it can be a little dark heavy if it's not, but when you got snow everywhere, and there's some beautiful like surreal like dream sequences in this that the snow just makes mesmerizing. Beautiful movie. I was captivated for the full 3 hours. Highly recommend. It says right here, widely regarded as the greatest Czech film ever made. I think it's the greatest Czech film I've ever seen. It might not be my personal favorite because there's some that I can rewatch more than this, but it's outstanding. It's incredible. I loved it quite a bit, and I had to throw it on the list.
You've been wanting to watch that for a long time, so I'm glad you had a reason.
Yeah, people have been telling me on the channel how amazing it is, and I really wanted to. I just had to set apart 3 hours to get through it.
Just 3 hours.
I'm so glad I did. It's wonderful.
Okay. I have taking a total right turn, left turn, left turn.
What is a right turn?
I have an action movie.
Hey!
Yeah.
Die Hard.
No.
No, because it's a Christmas movie.
It's a Christmas movie. Very much so, by the way.
Very hotly debated topic.
Definitely on the Die Hard is a Christmas movie bandwagon. This is a James Bond movie.
Oh.
There have been several movies with like big wintry scenes in James Bond films. Like, I have a list here. I'm prepared. The Spy Who Loved Me has this great.
I have no preparation.
This great scene where there's a lot of skiing scenes and stuff. In Bond,
that's what I go to. The big skiing intro in one of them. But that's not this one?
But that's the one where he like jumps off a cliff and he has the parachute and it's like the British flag and all that stuff. Yeah. That's not this one. This is a bad cover for this title reveal. It's on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh.
The DVD or the Blu-ray I have is like the series where they were doing them by Bond. So this is the only one that George Lazenby made.
Oh.
He took over for one movie after Sean Connery left.
It's very wintry.
Yeah. So anyway,
interesting.
Majesty's Secret Service. So yeah. But anyway, so it's 69. So it's kind of it's funny because I feel like this one is a little more overtly sexy than some of the ones previously.
Oh, really? Wow.
Based on what they could get away with in America at that time, and Britain, I assume too. But it's basically his. So he's up against. He's battling. He's opposing. That's the word.
He's fighting winter itself.
Blofeld. Who was the big. You've heard of Blofeld. He's the guy with the cat and all that stuff. He's one of the big villains.
You keep coming back to cats.
There's a lot of cats in winter. Because they're cozy. And so Blofeld has set up this like mountain headquarters thing in the Swiss Alps and brainwashed all of these beautiful women who are going to then disperse to the four corners of the world.
So it's just a bunch of Swedish women?
And basically, I assume the idea is to like seduce people and then they're been brainwashed to like release bio weapons.
Oh, they're like the Greek mythological creature, like sirens?
Kind of. They're called angels of death.
Ah.
in the film, because why not? And essentially it's going to like destroy, plants and animals around the world and, wreak havoc, and then Blofeld's going to take over the world.
Destroying plants like winter is prone to do.
Yeah. But it's very, look at that. It's very like 60s, like the
I've been thinking way too much about winter the last couple of days.
In terms of like the design and the costumes and the, just the whole feel, the look and the feel of the thing. Yeah. But tons of snow stuff. So it's shot in Switzerland. It was shot in this revolving restaurant that they were building on the top of a mountain that you can visit today.
The Sundial in Atlanta.
It's kind of like that. It's not, but it's on a mountain.
Okay,
Imagine
cool.
that.
But cooler.
As on the end of a ski lift.
That's awesome. Ski lift's also big thing. We'll come back to that in a minute.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of skiing in these. In fact, in this movie, there's like skiing. There's
bobsledding.
There's bobsledding. There's snowstorms. There's
curling.
Ice skating. There's a little bit of I don't remember.
I want curling. I want like a final battle in a James Bond movie to revolve around curling, like it's a bomb. They're like curling a bomb so that it doesn't explode.
Oh yeah, that probably exists somewhere. There's a little bit of Christmassy stuff, just incidental,
Gotta get it off the list. No Christmas on this list.
But it's also like this is the one where Bond gets married.
Okay.
To a character played by Dinah Rigg, who was in tons of stuff. She was actually in Game of Thrones. This was the last thing she was.
Interesting.
But she's beautiful in this movie. She's great. I think it's probably, this movie's regarded pretty highly among people who love James Bond movies. It's definitely one of my favorites, even though...
I didn't know you were into James Bond. That's cool.
I really enjoy them. I feel like I don't know a whole lot about them. There's still a bunch, especially the Roger Moore ones that I just...
Yeah, it's a huge franchise.
Haven't seen, and his are totally ridiculous anyway. This one's a little bit more, I guess grounded is the word?
Not as grounded as Daniel Craig, obviously.
A little more emotionally involving and not silly in a way that some of the ones prior to it and afterwards were. So, I enjoyed it a lot. And it's so wintry, so much snow.
So much snow. That's the key. Have you had any that don't have snow? I have. Oh, I didn't mention.
Not really.
Paperman doesn't have any snow because it's a coastal, like, New England. It's like right on the coast, so they don't really get snow. If they do, it melts immediately because there's no grass.
I have a New England one later on.
Okay.
But it has snow. So
I have a couple that don't have snow. But anyway. That was another thing I wanted to mention about Paperman, is like they get all the harsh, like, coldness of winter, which reflects their emotional state, but they don't get any of the beauty because they don't have any snow.
Oh.
So it's great. I highly again, watch Paperman. It's wonderful.
I also want to mention, I almost put this on the list as its own thing, The Bourne Identity.
Oh.
This is the old
I didn't remember that being winter. Best of the series.
Shot, in the winter. And it's also in Switzerland. But remember the shot of him like rappelling down the building? Embassy building in the snow and all that? And then they go to Paris.
I need to rewatch those. I've only watched those once.
Big car chasing in Paris. I love these movies.
We should rewatch them.
We should. The second one's probably my favorite. I think it has some snow too. But anyway, Bourne Identity, also recommended.
All right, my next one is... Hey, don't know peeking. This is a weird one. Another one that doesn't have much snow because
it's your pick. Of course it's weird.
Mostly takes place inside. I'm ignoring the comment. Deep End. This is a Jerzy Skolimowski movie. Amazing. Love this guy. So I first found out about this director when he did EO a couple years ago, 2022.
Yeah,
loved EO.
So
I was like,
good.
I got to watch more of this guy's stuff. I already had this. I found it at a secondhand store because it's a BFI release from the UK. I don't think we have a release in America.
Oh, there's a butt on the front.
Hunt this down.
Cover that up.
There was like a sticker at the store. That was
there?
like a half-price book sticker. Like I found this at a half-price book. Amazing. Love this movie. This is kind of a... I'll tell you what it's about first. It is about this young boy who works at a bathhouse. Very European.
As you do.
Very European. Like if European sensibilities around like the younger age of consent bother you, like don't watch this. But it's about a younger guy. I mean, there's some of that in Eric Romer.
He's a teenager. He's an older teenager. Right?
He's like 15. Yeah. So he works in a bathhouse. He's a very lonely, isolated boy, and he meets this wonderfully charismatic, lovely worker who also starts working there, and he has to like. You know how you get someone starts working there, you have to show them the ropes and like do the tutorial and like give them all the. You have to show them how things work. Yeah. She's amazing. She's super charismatic, super magnetic, and the performance is great. Like because you love her, but it becomes this kind of anti rom-com, this kind of anti coming of age story, because this kid is, he's not, like I said, very lonely, very isolated, and he starts to become obsessed. And it's about this obsession, which plays perfectly with the winter theme. It doesn't feel very wintry because they're in the bathhouse most of the time, which is like this hot kind of environment. Because we don't really have bathhouses here. It's like a pool.
It's a giant pool.
It's a pool where like older ladies come in and they want to be like wined and dined by these little kid workers, you know, like they come in. So he has to like, it gets very.
It's a spa.
Yeah, it's spa, but it's like a grungy, like kind of dirty one. It takes place in London, like the streets of London, which winter in London like sucks. It's just like rainy and cold and gross. Mm-hmm. There is some outside. There's like one major snow scene where it is very winter. You can tell it takes place in winter, but it's such a good movie. I love coming of age stories, and seeing this as kind of like this anti coming of age story, just seeing him kind of spiral down into this kind of I don't know. It was so satisfying. I've only seen it once, and I really want to watch it again. I found it very, very fascinating to watch.
I watched
like a
about
train wreck.
10 minutes of this one day because I was flipping through Criterion Channel. This is when EO was out, and I think they were showcasing.
They had a little collection of his stuff.
Yeah. So I was flipping through some stuff and watched it, and I really enjoyed what I saw, but I just didn't keep going.
Yeah. Their relationship is great, very charming. It's so fun because they're really charming together, and you think you're watching kind of like a romantic comedy, but then it gets dark. It almost leans into like horror territory.
Interesting.
It's very you don't know what you're getting. It's very unconventional. Very, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like. It goes into unexpected places. It's not callable.
This also has a weird pool scene too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and a weird romance. Well, not really romance.
Well, there you go.
Teenagers.
Yeah, not really romance here either. But
no, one of them sucks people's blood. So this next one, I was hoping you had a copy of. I have one, but it's it's a super old DVD. Like the DVD is older than some of you, probably. So here we go. And it's like one of those that I feel like I should have, but it's not one I love necessarily, but it's also, I felt like one of us had to have this on our list.
Mm. Oh, of course. Yeah. That was one that came up like when
The Shining.
When I was looking at winter lists to get inspiration. It was like everyone has The Shining.
This old...
Snapper. That's a snap case. Yeah, wow. Snapper case.
Very satisfying snap. From the Stanley Kubrick collection back in the day, Warner Brothers. There's probably... I actually went to some stores looking to see if they had like a nice, maybe like a steelbook or something. I'm sure there's like 15 different options for that.
Yeah.
But I didn't look hard enough, and I didn't, it's one of those that I've come to appreciate. You know, when it first came out, it was, it's a Stephen King adaptation by Stanley Kubrick. Mm-hmm. I don't think people really knew what
to expect.
Well, what to make of it.
Oh, you mean like it wasn't received well?
It made money, and it was popular. I mean, people, and Jack Nicholson helped a lot. He was huge at the time, and people knew who Kubrick was, and, Shelley Duvall and all that, and Stephen King. But it's not a truly faithful adaptation of the book. Like,
I've heard that. I've heard it
strips it down.
It's different. It's a different experience.
Yeah, and it plays into just the idea of basically cabin fever and badness and stuff. The book had this whole, like, alcoholism kind of allegory.
Oh.
That it's a little bit of that in the movie, but the book has so much more. The book's great. You guys should read it. The movie is just, I think, it's almost like a style exercise. I mean, if anybody hasn't seen it, just stop the video and go watch it.
What are you doing watching this?
And I think it's probably one of Kubrick's most like visually interesting films too. And it was the first one where he used a Steadicam, which was pretty new technology at that time, to like go down the hallways of this hotel. If you don't know what it's about, it's basically like Jack Nicholson moves his family into this abandoned, or I guess, off-season hotel. They are sort of caretakers for the winter season, which it's a summer hotel, so there's no one there in the winter. It's just them. And
so it's shut down.
Yeah. And so
creepy.
They're essentially like snowed in for a lot of it.
Oh,
so
perfect.
The weather plays a huge part of this movie.
Good. That's what we're talking about tonight.
But unfortunately, he goes insane. So, you can't win them all.
It'll happen sometimes.
He's a writer.
2 kids.
Just like Stephen King himself.
Does he have 2 kids or 1 kid?
Just 1 kid.
Oh,
Danny.
come on. Suck it up, man. Like, I got 2 kids.
Right? How hard is life? Come on. Some people think they have problems. And it's
Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. First world problems.
It's kind of like, he's got personal struggles and cabin fever, and he just loses it. Yeah. So
it's interesting that this came up right after Deep End, because very similar. Both main characters like spiraling out of control, losing their minds a little bit. Does he struggle with obsession at all?
So
addiction?
Great. I think the book was more about addiction.
Okay.
I mean, there's a little
sounds like it would be a good double feature with Deep End.
It alludes to that a little bit, but I think it's more. You have to make a lot of more leaps as a viewer than you did with the book necessarily. But I mean, it's great.
Sweet. All right. Well, I'm going to go in a completely opposite direction for my number 5. We're on top 5 already. Okay, here we go. Number 5 for this guy.
For me.
Anatomy of a Fall.
Oh
my goodness, is this such a good movie? This was last year. Last year we got so many good winter movies.
We did.
Like we had The Holdovers, which I kept off because it's a little too Christmassy.
Same. I did the same thing.
It would have, it's great, but we're trying to keep Christmas off. And then also last year we had Society of the Snow. Not technically wintry, but like so snowy. But Anatomy of a Fall was my favorite movie of last year. This is actually not last year, the year before, 2023.
Yeah.
My favorite movie that year. So good. This absolutely needs the snow. The snow is very important to this. Snow is like a character in this. It is a story. It's a crime drama. If you don't know, it's a what do you call it? Courtroom drama.
Yeah.
It's basically a mystery. She plays the main lead actress. This is a Justin Triet film. Justine Triet. What is the actress's name? I'm not familiar with the actress.
Sandra Hüller.
She had a big year that year, though. She was in 2 Oscar movies.
Yeah.
Sandra Hüller plays the wife, the main female lead, and her husband dies mysteriously. And the whole movie is
He falls.
He falls, yes, Anatomy of a Fall. And she is the prime suspect, as the spouse always is in these situations. And the whole movie is just the mystery and the courtroom drama of her being accused of murder. We don't know. It's basically 2 options: if it's murder or
accident,
suicide, because of he's struggling with
3 options.
Depression. Yeah, well, it could be. Well, that's true. 3 options. So we don't actually know. And what I love about it, and something that the snow kind of mirrors. Well, at first there's a coldness. There's a emotional distance between them. They've gotten to a point in their relationship where they're very emotionally distant.
And there's backstory that bubbles up that explains.
And I love how things are revealed. It's very similar to Anatomy of a Murder, and I think that's why it borrows the name from it, which is another movie that I love. It's so good. It's another long one. It's like 3 hours. One of James Stewart's best performances. He's so good. And it's another courtroom drama. Very similar, clearly pulling from that. Another thing I like about the snow, because it's kind of in the mountains. Where does it take place? Is it France?
Somewhere in France, because
she's like the snowy mountainside.
Her husband is French, and so she's German, and she moves there.
Yeah.
So she's kind of an outsider.
Yes.
Part of the movie too.
Isolation again, and there is this blankness to the features. The snow covers things, and this is all about uncovering the truth, because we never actually know what's going on. That's what I love about it. I love another big thing that the blankness of snow will remind you of is like the concept of ambiguity, which is what I love most about this movie. So ambiguous. You never know. I'll just go ahead and say, you never know what happens. It's a little unsatisfying, but in a good way. It's satisfyingly unsatisfying.
Well, it's so gripping the whole time.
Yes, because it's so believable. This is what I took away from it most, was the complexities of human relationships. There is no black and white in this movie. It is all gray. There's stuff that's caught on video that she's said and done that could lead you one way. There's stuff he's done that clearly leads you the other way. We
should talk after off camera, and I want to know what you think happened.
Well, I need to rewatch it again. I've only seen it once, but it stuck with me so hard. I love this movie. Okay. It's amazing. Anatomy of a Fall. If you missed it that year, definitely check it out. Robbed. Did it win anything?
Screenplay.
Okay, good. Because it's lovely. I love it.
Great dog.
Great dog. Great child performance.
Great child performance.
And he's blind. Exactly. Perfect.
Good stuff.
Ambiguous. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump on to your number 4.
What is my number 4?
I have no idea. I'm excited to find out.
This is I have one heavy one left. Heavy. It's heavy subject matter. It's told in a very straightforward way, so it's very watchable.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen this. It came out 2016.
Probably not. We have opposite lists.
Yeah, we do.
I haven't seen a lot of yours. You haven't seen a lot of mine.
It's more fun that way.
Yeah, I like it. I haven't
You
seen
heard of
it.
this?
No,
Manchester
that was
by the Sea?
right before Grace got me into like Oscar movies.
Yeah.
Like I heard about that movie, but I haven't seen it. It looks like a melancholy, just sad, very heavy experience.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like from the outside.
That's all I have to say about it. It's so Casey Affleck is the main character, and it jumps back and forth through time a bit to explain past incidents and stuff. But basically, he's a handyman in somewhere in Massachusetts, and he's divorced. He's depressed. He's possibly an alcoholic.
Those all usually go hand in hand.
And it's very snowy. This takes place pretty much primarily in the winter. I think at the end you start seeing some buds on the trees because it's about he's grown through his grief a little bit.
Yeah.
But basically his older brother, passes away, and he becomes the guardian of his nephew, who's a teenager, who's Lucas Hedges. Do you know Lucas Hedges?
Lucas Hedges.
Redhead guys from other films?
Yes, I do actually. He is in one of mine, I think.
Really?
I think so.
Oh,
very bit role, very small, tiny bit role. He's in a lot of movies. Going back to my fall list, he's in Dan in Real Life for like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
He's just one of the kids.
When he was a kid in Moonrise Kingdom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's one of the he's got these little bit parts in a lot of my favorite movies.
He pops up in things. Good for him.
I've never seen him like in a leading role though. So he does more in this. He has like at least recurrent. He comes back.
Yeah, he's probably the second major character.
Oh, that's cool.
It kind of turns into this I don't know, like it's not a surrogate father-son. It kind of is a little bit, but they're kind of both going through real tough emotional stressors, I guess, and get through it together. And and I can't really reveal everything that happens because that's part of the beauty of the film, is to kind of learn to learn what happened in the past and also how they're going to move forward through it. But I will say it's like, again, it's heavy, but it's told in such an honest way that it feels it's easily accessible, I think, for viewers too. But just beautifully.
Yeah, it's one I've been curious about. I never go back to it. It's weird. It got no Oscar noms or anything?
That also won a screenplay Oscar.
It's weird that they called out the Golden Globes on the front.
I think it's just because it just came out
before
the Oscar nominations or whatever. But Casey Affleck won Best Actor too. So.
Oh, okay.
It's so good.
What is my favorite?
And it will rip your heart out.
Great. I can't wait.
You're going to love it. All right. I'm done with the heaviness. Your turn.
Yeah, I don't have too many heavy ones left. Maybe one. It depends on how you take it. This one is not heavy at all. This is delightful. This is my number 4. Had a recent experience with this. We had a snow day here in Georgia, which never happens.
It's great.
And I hung out with the kids all morning playing in the snow. And then we came in and made a fire and had some hot chocolate and watched...
Bambi? No.
The Gold Rush. What a delightful movie. It's wonderful.
So good.
Isn't it so sweet and just charming? It's one of his, so it's Charlie Chaplin. If you haven't seen Charlie Chaplin, he usually, well, I guess later, his later stuff is different, but of the Tramp stuff, we'll say that. They're usually lighter, they're usually more fun, and usually steering into the comedy. This one,
but with a dose of
heart.
Yeah.
This one I feel like has a little bit more heart on the second viewing. I noticed this kind of feels like The Freshman from Harold Lloyd. This is kind of on par with The Freshman, where Freshman was like much more personal. Like the guy has a lot of heart, and this is the same way. The scene where he's on New Year's and no one showed up to his New Year's party, and he's just all alone. So sad and wonderful, but this really steers into like the survival part of winter. It takes place, in the gold rush, and it's never really like, I mean, there's some parts that are a little touch and go with like how the survival aspect of it, but mostly it uses it for comedy.
Well, it's like they're in the cabin and the guy sees him as a chicken and wants to eat him.
Yeah, because they're starving. He eats his boot. The boot eating scene.
Yeah, the shoe eating.
The incredible like practical miniature house scene where the house is sliding
the whole
around.
Like last 20 minutes.
Yes,
right?
It's so
is
good.
This incredible action scene.
Action.
So good. Amazing
comedy. The dancing of the rolls, the famous dancing of the rolls, and heart. There's so much heart in here. He's kind of, I don't know. He's kind of this awkward, like they don't take him seriously. The woman he's attracted to is like he's just a goofy guy that no one like really. She's not really taking him seriously. He's like just in love with her just because she's the first one who's ever paid any attention to him, and he doesn't. I don't know. I think there's kind of a gold metaphor with him they don't take him seriously at first, but after a while, it starts. She has to dig a little deeper, I guess, because he is.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Eventually, you can't ignore how sweet and like wholesome, and even when he gets rich later in the movie, like he's still this nice, sweet, wholesome guy. And she comes around on him, and I think it's great, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. This also has it's 2 versions, so it's a 1925 film. It has a 1942 version where he came back and recorded. Because sound films were taking over, and he came back and he recorded a audio,
like
little
voiceover,
narration.
Right? Yeah.
He records it. Chaplin himself records it, and I actually quite liked it.
I think that's the only version I've seen.
I actually think I prefer it. He tightens things up. He cuts a little bit down. It's a little shorter. It's 72 minutes instead of 88 minutes, which is nice. It's nice and quick.
Yeah.
He adds a little bit more focus on the comedy, I think, and then the narration actually helps in scenes like. It'll add to the comedy. Like it's very dry narration and it's very funny. And I actually prefer the 42 version because it makes it unique among his films. Like among his silent films, there's none other, this is the only one that does this. I actually really liked it. I thought it was super special. The 25 version is great too, but I really enjoyed the 42 version. I think it's like his perfect, and he changed the score.
You can't go wrong.
That's where we get the score from. He actually did the score for the 42 version. I think they used it as a version of it back in the 25 version that we have now, but that's where that score came from. And it's great. It's one of the best scores. Amazing. Just watched it because it's like a New Year's movie, so I watched it a couple days ago, and
so good.
It's great, wonderful.
One of my favorites of his, although they're all good. So
I think it is. I think it's given Circus a run for its money because Circus is always my favorite, but it's really good.
Okay.
It's a little more going on, I think, than the Circus.
This next one of mine, number 3, is sort of also about a kind of a surrogate father-son relationship. A little bit. It's about an older guy and a young guy, and they kind of just have this weird.
Wow, you're stuck on this father-son thing.
Yeah, maybe it's something about me.
I love father-son movies.
Let's not read too much into it. Also on DVD, because I don't have a Blu-ray of this. I think it's on. I think there is a Blu-ray somewhere, but nothing fancy.
Okay.
This is from 2000.
2000. What the world is this? I've never heard of this.
This is Wonder Boys.
Wonder Boys.
And Michael Douglas plays the main character.
Mm-hmm.
So he plays
Ants. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Good, I'm going to leave it there.
He plays a professor of creative writing at this school in Pittsburgh. And he's also a novelist himself. He had one big book out years ago. And it did really well, but he's been people are waiting for his next one, you know? And he just can't get through it. I think he's written 2,000 pages or something. And so part of the movie is about him trying to finish this book. And his editor comes into town. Yeah. Robert Downey Jr.
Oh. He would be the worst editor to have. Good grief. That would be annoying.
Right. And there's a writer's conference. So I think that's why he's there. Okay. That's happening at the, meanwhile, he's having an affair with the wife of the dean of the English department, perhaps. Frances McDormand.
Lovely. She's wonderful.
Right. She's great. And his students include people like Katie Holmes, because it's from 2000.
Everyone.
And Tobey Maguire, your favorite.
Very, very 2000s.
Very 2000s. And Tobey Maguire plays this kind of solitary loner, kind of weird, emo's the wrong word, but just maybe melancholy, kind of nihilistic, whatever.
Oh, interesting.
Writer. It's a writer, of course.
Oh, they're all writers. So it's a whole convention of annoying writers.
Yeah, basically. But anyway.
Glasses are so 2000s.
And it takes place over winter break. So I think there's at the beginning, there's a holiday party for the department or something. Christmas doesn't really play a role, but it just is.
It's just winter break. Yeah.
Exactly.
I've never heard of this. This looks.
Yeah. And it all, it's basically not a whole lot happens. It's more of a conversation, and Michael Douglas comes to realize that Tobey Maguire comes to stay with him for a little bit because he has nowhere to go. He learns that he's been sleeping in a bus station, that kind of thing, and it's just a very warm, witty kind of warm hug of a film. And my best friend Sharon and I trade quotes from this movie all the time. So
awesome!
It's one of those things. Yeah.
It's a great cast. They're all so young. That's crazy. Look at Frances McDormand.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's by the guy who did L.A. Confidential and 8 Mile and stuff. Curtis Hanson, who's a really good writer-director several years back.
Right.
It's good stuff. I recommend it.
I am going to go with my number 4 is... 3. This is my number 3.
I don't know. You tell me.
Speaking of father-son movies, look at it is. Surrogate father figure. Yeah. This is amazing. And this is the only one I rewatched for this video. I'm horribly unprepared for this video, but I rewatched this one last night. Me and Grace popped this in, and it's just great.
It's wonderful.
It's so...
one of his best movies.
Delicious. Delectable. I mean, I guess you could compare it to Fantastic Mr. Fox. Like, they're both super cozy films, like just super like pop in on a rainy day or something, or a snowy day. This is a very, very wintry film. That's why I rewatched it, because I couldn't remember how wintry it was at all. Like it's all the way through. Yeah. Technically not a winter film. There's a bunch of title cards that say October. It takes place in October, but it's in kind of a stand-in for like Hungary, or it's on a mountaintop, so it's always snowing. Like every single scene is snowing.
There's skiing and stuff.
Yeah. It's very snowy film. So wintry, and I feel like this of all of his films, maybe Moonrise Kingdom is like Fantastic Mr. Fox, I guess, but there's like a fairy tale quality to this one, where he uses the snow setting as like this very nostalgic, especially with the music, because you've got this main character, Ray Fiennes, who plays the owner of this hotel, and he is he's very nostalgic for this like bygone era that he didn't even live in. Like he's going around schmoozing all of these older women, not because he's like a creep, but just because he loves their world.
Well, that's his clientele, and I think it's like an old world kind of feel.
He loves that whole world, like
including Tilda Swinton's character who shows up.
Yeah, with the crazy makeup job. Oops, I just dropped my last 2 films. But he misses this. He was born in the wrong era, basically. And he wants the world to go back to how it was. There's this like era of civility.
Isn't it kind of like before World War II or something?
Well, it's
sort of.
Right. There's like, and I love what he does with this. There's Nazis in this, but they're not Nazis. They're like these fake. Yeah. He makes everything's made up. Like the city's made up. The Nazis have like a different symbol. It's like 2 Z's. Right. And like I love when movies do that. When it's not the real world, it's like this completely. That plays into like the fairy tale storybook nature of it.
Right.
I love it. The snow is imperative to the entire movie. It wouldn't work without it, or you couldn't tell the story. You have to tell it differently, because he is, and the surrogate's father-son relationship between Zero and Gustav.
Yeah. Okay.
One amazing.
He's one of the bellhop.
Yes.
Whatever.
But I aspire to
get your hands off my lobby boy.
It's beautiful. I aspire to inspire a boy someday with like this. Like I want to be.
You need a mentee.
I want to be Ray Fiennes to some Zero someday. Like it's amazing. The snow is great. There's like this, like I said, there's this nostalgic vibe of this like you don't know that you're living in the good old days until you're out of the good old days. Like you're in it now, and just like the snow, it's going to melt away and start the next season, and you can't do anything about it. It's great. It's wonderful. Watch Grand.
That's a lot to chew on.
Everybody's seen Grand Budapest Hotel. It's pretty much his. It's either that or Fantastic Mr. Fox. I feel like is people's favorites. My favorite's Moonrise Kingdom, but this is close. Like I could maybe someday it's surpassing it as I get older and become an old sad man.
I love the formal elements of this movie though. Like it changes aspect ratio and
really?
The cinematography is beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
The music is great. The production design is just like.
It's as sweet as the little candies that they get from the bakery.
It is so Wes Anderson.
Yes.
Like everything you think of when you think of Wes Anderson is this movie. So
amazing. And there's the ski lift thing that takes them up to the top of the hill, which you mentioned earlier.
And all the yodeling and
the yodeling soundtrack. Yeah, it's so good.
So good.
I love it. Let's watch it again tonight.
We should. I would totally do that. All right.
Top 2 here. Are we on top 2?
I love this next movie, and I don't think you've seen it. You may have seen the remake.
Oh, weird.
There was an American remake. There was actually an American remake of Let the Right One In as well.
Oh, that's
the end.
Unfortunate.
It wasn't bad. It was Matt Reeves who did the Batman.
I've seen that.
Whatever that other one was with the
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. My next one, I love.
I want to see that. That
Force Majeure.
That's interesting.
Which is a Swedish film.
Yes, directed by...
Made in France, I guess.
Ruben Östlund.
Ruben Östlund.
Yes.
Who did...
Triangle of Sadness.
And The Square and some other things. Very simple premise. Do you know what it's about?
I've seen the remake. I've seen the American remake of that,
which is called Downhill, and it has like Will Ferrell and
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Yeah.
I enjoyed that one. It's not as good as this.
I loved the story of that one, and I'm excited to see the original.
It's almost the same. I think this one's a little bit more, kind of than that one was. So it's a family...
it's a fascinating story to me as a father. Like,
yeah, it is.
Basically, they're put in like a life and death situation, and a situation where you would never know how you would react, and he reacts the wrong way.
So they're at a ski resort in France in the Alps, and it's like a mother, father, son, daughter, and they are outside. I guess it's like maybe the second or third day they're there having lunch. Beautiful day, and there's this controlled avalanche that goes off. Then so the snow starts coming towards them, and people start freaking out because all it is like just powdery snow that's coming. It's not dangerous.
But people don't know.
But people don't know that. And so what happens is the father just takes off. Like he runs away and leaves his kids and his wife there.
Yeah.
And I guess they're running too, but he doesn't protect them. And, which you would hope that
I hope I would.
You would as a father. Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I know.
But who would actually know until it happens to you? And so basically that happens, and then the rest of the movie is the fallout from that act.
Because it would complicate. It would 100% complicate things.
Yeah. And the wife has like, what kind of a man did I marry kind of thing. And like, do you really care about us and protect us? Or are you just looking out for yourself?
That is such a Ruben Östlund story. Mm-hmm. I've only seen Triangle of Sadness, but yeah, that sounds exactly like something you would do.
And then there's also the other people that they meet at the hotel, the resort.
Yeah.
And one of them has like an open marriage, and another one's just like this. I don't know. There's just
different
so
there's more characters in this one. That's cool.
Yeah,
that wasn't really in the American.
Well, a little bit, but not quite. I don't think they were
just like tertiary characters, kind of like Triangle of Sadness, where you get like that's different because they all end up on an island together. But I'm going to take this because I want to watch this.
You should please take it. Please watch it. It's so good, and it's beautifully made, and it's in that Ruben Östlund kind of dry wit kind of
dark comedy
style. Exactly.
Awesome.
And again, very simple, so it's very focused. I feel like Triangle of Sadness went a little bit, and The Square was the same way. It was a little bit too big. This one's just the perfect
more subtle.
size.
More subtle with this one.
Maybe not more subtle, more focused.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so winter. Good skiing movie. Yeah.
I'm excited. Speaking of very winter.
Ooh.
I maybe have like the most wintry movie of all time. This is like iconic winter movie. Everyone knows this movie. You know it. You can just by what I'm saying, you probably know what it is. Coen Brothers.
That's Fargo.
It's Fargo. Like it.
So
this
good.
is the poster child for winter movies. Like it is winter. It's Winter the movie. That's what it is. It is. If you don't know what it is, it's a very Coen Brothers.
If you don't know what this
crime drama.
What are you doing?
We got to talk to people. There's people of all ages here. People didn't grow up in the '90s. I didn't see this till later. Obviously, I think high school I saw this, and it just like blew me away. This is my first Coen Brothers. Still my favorite Coen Brothers to this day. It is a. It feels like a true crime. It's actually presented as a true crime story. Like in the beginning, it says
that's right.
These events really happen. It's not, but it's like this. Running joke with this and like the TV series, which is also great. I don't know if you've seen the TV series.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So good. I've only seen 1 through 3. I haven't seen 4 and 5, but it's so good.
We should watch that tonight.
Let's watch it, man. This is the 4K from Shout Factory. Looks amazing.
Very nice.
It is a crime story in a small little town. It's like just a barren wasteland. The snow plays into like the desolation of this. Like there's nothing. You can see right here on this cover. There's nothing. Just like snow for miles and miles around. And it's like a start. There's some innocence there and some like because you don't expect this kind of stuff to happen in this like small little town. Right, like it's a stark contrast because it's like what would you call it? William H. Macy's kind of like this. He's at the end of his rope, I guess. It's like a story of like desperation.
He's a desperate man.
He's desperate, and he's about to like
he runs a used car lot.
He's about to like file bankruptcy and lose everything, and he's drawn to do this thing. He tries to like fake a ransom situation so he can get his wife's rich father to pay money.
And in order to do that, he has his wife
kidnapped. Like and it just, of course, in Coen Brothers fashion, just continues to like spiral out of control and get worse and worse and worse. And it's wonderful to watch unfold. Frances McDormand, speaking of, is amazing in this. She is like the heart of the whole movie. She's this sweet little pregnant. Is she pregnant? Yeah, she's a sweet little pregnant cop. Because that comes up in the show a couple times, so I couldn't remember which one was pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
But she is, she's so sweet. And it's like, it's not just that it's a small town. You don't expect this to happen. It's Minnesota, or where's Fargo? In North Dakota. It's North Dakota, and they're all like these sweet little people with these like little sweet accents, and you don't expect violent crimes to be happening. And it's just so good. And the score is incredible. This is a very, very string-heavy violin score that just like so bombastic. And it's such a weird.
I can hear it.
It's like. It's so like antithetical to what you would expect from a little crime. It's like the score is like not. It doesn't fit. It fits.
It's like operatic.
Yes, it's so much. It makes it so much more epic in scope than you would expect it to be. And it's really the filmmaking. Like the story itself is not that intricate. It's really the filmmaking and that brings this just over the top. I love it.
But it's another like moral quandary about like you know, I mean, obviously terrible, but like
yeah.
Or like Greek tragedy.
Yeah, would you steal bread to feed your family?
Yeah.
Type thing. But like to its furthest extent, it's insane.
You know what's so lovely? The Coen brothers do this thing where they do these like warm-hearted movies about people that they don't really make fun of the people in this movie and their accents, but I have fun with them.
Yeah.
I would say. You know?
Well,
they love these like weird oddball characters.
Yeah.
And they foreground them.
And it's very dark. It's very similar to Hitchcock in that like people will be so just dismissive of like remember what happened Harry something
Trouble with Harry.
Trouble with Harry. It's like they're just so dismissive of like the darkest thing. Like it's they're so unaffected by murder, and it's just like very dark comedy.
Yeah.
This is a very, very dark comedy. The comedy basically only comes from how absurd it gets, like absurdly dark. So I could see a lot of people watching this because of the serious tone and the score, not even thinking that it is a comedy. Like I'm sure there are some people that do that. But
what do you do with like the wood chipper and stuff? Like,
well, I mean, some people probably take that.
How do you react to that?
Well, yeah, it's like uncomfortable laughter. It's like the substance. Yeah. It's like I'm just like, I have to laugh so I don't feel so horrible about it. Like it's so good. Love Fargo. Hopefully everybody's seen Fargo, but if you haven't, it's my favorite Coen Brothers movie.
I'm glad you had that on there. Actually, that's one I considered, but I didn't include necessarily. I feel like, I knew you were going to have it.
I mentioned on the channel before. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
All right, number one winter movie of all time.
I'm going to watch it again.
At least for me.
Okay.
I've seen this a dozen times, probably.
Wow.
It's a great movie. It is a holiday movie.
Okay.
It's not that holiday.
Oh, it's on the cusp.
It's Groundhog Day.
Oh, interesting.
Have you seen Groundhog Day?
Yes, I have. I've only seen it once, though. I have not seen it 12 times
this is the focus. There we go. Sort of. This is a 4K Steelbook.
Wow, look at you.
Look at me.
That's a recent pickup.
Fairly recent. I think it came out last year.
Nice.
But anyway, if you don't know what Groundhog Day is,
it's Groundhog Day.
What are you doing with yourself?
A comedy. 2 comedies in a row.
It's very much a comedy. So it's basically he's like a TV anchor or whatever, a reporter who goes to...
He's a weatherman, right?
Punxsutawney.
Yeah.
Because the groundhog is going to decide if he sees a shadow, and there's 6 more weeks of winter and that whole thing.
Yeah.
But they get snowed in, and so he's stuck in this town. A blizzard comes through.
Yeah, this even more than Fargo, it's ridiculous to explain the premise of this, because this has become like a trope.
True. This is as serious as it gets. I mean, his producer is Andy McDowell.
Yeah.
And he kind of has a thing for her, and and there's another guy there. Anyway, so they get snowed in, and he winds up, he has a day, whatever, and he falls asleep, and he wakes up, and his arm goes off, and he slowly realizes he's reliving Groundhog Day again.
He's in a time loop. Yeah,
it's in a time loop, and it just keeps going, and it gets
dark too.
It gets dark and a little depraved.
There's a montage. There's a montage of.
What would you do if you could never?
I don't know.
Ahead in time, and you were just. I mean, you go crazy, right? So he does everything he can think of, and eventually gets to the point where he wants to he wants to be with Andy McDowell, I guess, too, as part of it. But
it's true.
He realizes that being a good person is also worthwhile, and like learning how to better himself and all that stuff. So there's a sort of a moral story.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a late coming of age story for him, because he's kind of a Bill Murray character basically in the beginning.
Yes, I think this is maybe his somebody wrote on this on Letterboxd recently, because I think a lot of people watch this on February 2nd. And they said this is probably the best Bill Murray performance. That's true, I would say.
Probably. This is classic. It's iconic.
Comedic Bill
This
Murray.
is really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had this. Wow. All right, I'm going to give you my number one, and I'm going to say my top 5 could be in any, basically my top 10 could be in any order. Like, this is not I would feel weird calling this my number one, but it is definitely in my top 10 because all of these are my favorite movies, and this is one of my favorites of all time. And like the Grand Budapest Hotel, it is technically not winter, but feels like winter. Wait a second.
You're putting a not winter movie at the top of your winter movie list?
I'll explain myself.
Seems a little
It is a winter movie to me. It 100% is, because it takes place on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. It's the kickoff of like the holiday season, the winter season, like, and it takes place up north where I'm from. I'm from Pennsylvania. This is from New York City, but like in end of November, early December, it's winter up there. Like, it's already snow on the ground everywhere.
Sure.
There's not a lot of snow in this movie because it's New York and snow melts immediately because there's no grass anywhere. But it's very, very cold. Everyone's wearing big, heavy overcoats, and you can see their breath in every scene. It's freezing. It's The Day Trippers. Look at this. I mean, I've talked about this movie a lot on the channel. I talk about it. It's so good. This is 1996. Another 90s movie. I had several 90s movies on here. The Day Trippers. This is one of my favorite movies. We have a tradition every year, Grace and I, where we watch this on Black Friday to kick off like our holiday season. So it's very...
You had me do that too.
Yes, because I love it. I'm an evangelist for this movie. Very young performance from Liev Schreiber as this kind of annoying author guy, like this annoying young guy who thinks he knows everything about the world and doesn't really know anything, and he's telling them about his book he's writing that just sounds awful. And it's a family dynamic. I should tell you what it's about. Hope Davis plays this married woman.
Hope Davis is the best.
Married to Stanley Tucci, and
who's also the best.
She wakes up one morning, he goes off to work, and she finds a love letter in their bedroom. And she tells her family about it because they're all together, and it's just them running around New York City trying to solve this mystery of what in the world is going on. Is he having an affair? Right. It's a very dysfunctional family relationship. The mom is very, they care about their kids. And the other kid is, sorry, I'm all over the place. Parker Posey. Part of it is just the cast is so good together. Their chemistry is amazing. So you got Hope Davis and Parker Posey. Their mom is this very overbearing, like, she loves her daughters, but she's so over the top and like controlling. Her love comes out in like a very toxic, like controlling way. And the dad is the exact opposite. He's very like distant and like doesn't say anything, never speaks, let the mom do everything.
Yeah, I mean, this feels very...
So relatable. Yeah, it's such a... That's what's so great about it. It's so relatable. You got these like New York parents. The New York accents are hilarious. Ann Mira is her name, who plays the mom. I love this movie. This is a feel-good movie, but also it's pretty heart-wrenching at the end. I don't want to give away what happens, but
it's a
tearjerker. It's definitely a tearjerker.
Yeah.
It's a sister's
I didn't see the twist.
Movie. Yeah.
Is it would you call it a twist?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a mystery. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's basically just a one crazy day movie. Yeah. Kind of like what you talked about earlier with Inside Llewyn David. Well, at least an Odyssey film. They're just running around all over the place, and they're similar to an Odyssey film. They're meeting with different colorful characters along the way, like the dad and the son that they stay with for a little bit.
Yeah, they wind up like having lunch with them and stuff.
Yes.
And just
it's not really a movie
relating with too. It's amazing.
It's so personal. I love how personal it gets. The characters there's only 4 main characters, so I guess 5, and he kind of takes a back seat. But the main 4, like, you get so in their heads. It's such a personal movie about them because that's all you got. It's a very indie movie, which I like. And Metropolis is a very similar or Metropolitan, another similar movie around this
character
age.
driven, like not low stakes, but
high personal stakes. Yeah, there's no bankruptcy or anything or whatever.
It's not epic by any standard. But...
No, it's so personal, and I love it. One of my favorite kinds of movies. Like, I have very different kinds of movies. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a Wes Anderson or like a big Charlie Chaplin. Sometimes I want a real personal little film on Black Friday that I watch every year. It's great. It's a 5-star movie for me.
Look at our little heart tuggers, sort of like comedic little touching films. Look at that. Look at us.
Look at us, big softies. But yeah, it's one of those movies that you can't really make sound exciting when you're explaining it, but it's great. Yeah, you just got to watch it.
It is really good.
I highly recommend. That would be the takeaway. Any of my top 10, I love, and you're a big fan of all yours, obviously. You want to quickly rattle off some honorable mentions?
Yes.
Do you have any with you, or are you just going to say them?
I'll just say them. But I have one that's sort of a collective that I want to mention, and it is... I watched several of these, but they're all in Criterion. It's the Winter Olympics documentaries.
Oh, yes.
Which
the
is
big box set.
I'm not a huge... I mean, I enjoy the Olympics, you know. Mm-hmm. I really love the Winter Olympics because I could watch skiing all day long.
Yeah.
It's just mesmerizing, I think. And so you get a lot of that with these. And you also get to see, like, you know, people you have heard of, like big, great, you know, performances by, you know, world-class athletes from the past and stuff. So it's great. But there's a few... The best of these movies are the ones that have their own sort of angle or personality or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's one called White Rock from 1976. It's the Innsbruck Games. Oh. It is hosted by James Coburn.
These are documentaries?
These are documentaries.
Okay.
But James Coburn like hosts it, and he doesn't. It doesn't like cover every event that happens at the games. It's like, here's what hockey is, and he'll like put on hockey gear and go out and play, or like, here's what the ski jump is like, and they show him, you know, trying.
Geez, that could be dangerous.
And there's like a prog rock score and stuff. That one's really fun. Oh. There's also, I mean, they go all the way back to the 20s, so there's a couple of silent ones. There's one in St. Moritz.
How often do they make these?
Every time. There's always an official.
Whoa.
Yeah, so the box.
There's like dozens and dozens of them.
Yeah.
Jeez.
There are. And there's for the summer games as well. And sometimes there's multiples. So
I didn't know what that box set was from Criterion.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
It's awesome. And they're usually made by the people from the countries. So like there's famous ones like the Japanese games, the 64 games are made by, I think it's Ichikawa. The summer games. And it's like this beautiful, I mean, like they're all very evocative and very they're told with personality, I guess is the word. Mm-hmm. They're not just like very standard, you know, sports documentary or like news footage or whatever. It's all the best ones are like tailored to the people making them. And yeah. Anyway, a lot of fun. Recommend those. Do you want to say something?
Sure, I'll throw some out here. I do want to mention quickly Simple Plan, because I had never seen this, and I bought it recently when the 4K came out, and I watched it, and it is so good.
I thought that was going to make your list because you liked it so
good.
much.
I didn't feel like having this and Fargo on the same list because they're very similar. This is also like a crime drama about people at like normal people that are just put in this situation where they make a bad decision and it just keeps spiraling out of control. And there's also some like money involved, and it's so good. Like it's easily my favorite Sam Raimi movie. Like I was shocked. It feels like the Coen brothers made it. Like it's really, really good. And it just missed my top 10 just because it was very similar to Fargo, but highly recommend it. I think there's more. I think Fargo is more iconic as a winter film, but I think there's more personal stuff in this that I connect to. Like because you've got the main character who has a son on the way or a child on the way, and they're in a small town and he's trying to like provide for his family. You've also got a brother dynamic, and Billy Bob Thornton plays his brother, and he's
Bill Paxton
incredible. Yes, it's such a good performance by Billy Bob Thornton. I relate to Brother Mill. I have two brothers, so it was. I got a lot out of that. And I've only seen it once, but it was great. It was really good.
I gotta watch that again.
Yeah.
Have you seen McCabe and Mrs. Miller?
I have not.
Robert Altman Western.
I've heard it's wintry though.
Set in the snow. It's great. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
No.
I think it's around Valentine's Day. It's definitely snowy.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
Barefoot in the Park. Do you know that? That's Jane Fonda and Robert Redford. Kind of a Neil Simon like rom-com thing.
Oh, okay.
Set in New York. And it's like they just got married and they have this really cheap apartment and like there's a hole in the ceiling and it snows through it. And stuff.
That's unfortunate.
There's some of these movies that are just wintry that just for some reason just weren't at the top of my list. So they just didn't make it. Winter Light, the Bergman film, super heavy, very heavy. Like
very heavy.
Does God exist? Heavy, kind of, you know, and like very ultra Bergman. I didn't make it either. Frozen. What do you think of Frozen?
Not a fan.
He said, ugh, guys. I don't know if you might pick that up.
Not the biggest fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very wintry, though.
Very wintry.
Yeah, I've got a few in here. It breaks my heart that this didn't make the list because this is such a beautiful winter movie. It is 3 Wishes for Cinderella.
Oh, I wondered if that would make
another Czech film. It was like number 11. It was right there. I had to kick it off for 3 Colors White.
Is that basically Cinderella?
Cinderella, but they make the brilliant decision to set it at winter, and it makes it so much more magical. Every scene is wintry, and she's wonderful. It's a different take on her. She's much more of a like tomboy, and there's a lot more to the relationship that builds with the prince, and it's a coming of age story for both of them actually, because she is this tomboy character who her father would take her out riding and teach her archery and all this stuff, and that's all she wants to do, but her stepmother won't let her do that stuff anymore. And the son, Prince, doesn't want to get married, doesn't want a wife. He doesn't want any. He just wants to play around with his boys because he's very young. Because he got married very young back in the old days. Play around with
his boys.
Yeah, he just wants to go run around, and they both are the opposite of. They both what each other needs, and they both help each other reach their. There's so much more going on in this one than like the normal Cinderella story, and setting it at winter was brilliant because it's so iconic and beautiful.
That's a big movie in Europe. I think they watch that like
every year. Yeah. It's not Christmassy at all, but it's become a Christmas tradition in like Eastern European countries. Another one that takes place at winter, but is not snowy at all, that we just watched recently, but is one of our favorites from one of our favorite directors in Bruges.
Oh yeah.
Oh my, so good. No snow at all in it. It doesn't really feel even that cold, but so good, so good. It didn't make the wintry part of the list, but it's one of my favorites. What a cast! Ralph Fiennes again. Brendan Gleeson, Colin Farrell. Another one, like some that were like on the cusp. I already mentioned My Night at Maud's. It's a little Christmassy. Same thing with these Billy Wilder films. Barely Christmassy, but I just kept them off. Just they'll put those on another list.
Yeah,
you know?
I had like Lion in Winter and even the Holdovers. Like they felt a little bit too Christmassy to me.
Yeah. The Apartment takes place at Christmas and New Year's. There's big Christmas and New Year's parties, and then Stalag 17. There's a Christmas scene, and it's all about like goodwill toward men. It's a POW film, so it felt like a little Christmassy enough. The Canadian movie that I almost had on my list was Mon Oncle Antoine, which is so good. A little Christmassy though, so it takes place at Christmas time in Canada, so that missed my list. But
what such Grinches we are!
No, I love Christmas, and I want to save them for another list. Save them for another list because I wanted this to be just non-Christmas winter movies. But
there's so also good. I had a bunch of movies that I was going through, and I actually flipped through them, just like scanned through them to see how wintry they are, because some of them just have like one big scene or something. One big scene movies,
There's a bunch of those.
I actually thought about Citizen Kane, because
because the ending, don't give it away. Don't give it away.
Has a lot to do with that film. There's a big scene where he's a kid and he's out playing in the snow, and
Yeah, there's movies that have like winter scenes.
Snow globe.
Even It's a Wonderful Life only has like 2 winter scenes. Yeah. So it's not even like that wintry of a movie.
Have you ever seen Way Down East?
No.
I
love how this has just turned into
Griffith
like you
film.
Quizzing me if I've seen movies.
I always ask you that. Have you seen this? Have you seen that? And usually the answer is no.
So there's a couple of those.
Well, that has the giant ice flow sequence where Lillian Gish had to literally go out onto a frozen river, and she almost
died.
Had serious, repercussions. Anyway,
I'm gonna rattle off.
It's not good, but that scene is amazing. Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. You ever seen that? They get stuck on a mountain in a blizzard and musical.
I know. Yes, I know about the musical. I didn't know it was on a blizzard on a mountain though. Yes. That's cool.
They get stuck. I guess they can't come down from the mountain for like months because they're snowed in. So that's part of the plot.
Well, I'm gonna rattle off a bunch that you haven't seen since you did that to me. New Year's movie, Phantom Carriage. I have to throw it out. One of my favorite movies of all time. No snow, not snowy. It's kind of like It's a Wonderful Life, where it takes place on New Year's. He dies on New Year's, and then he flashes through his whole life. So it's like his whole life doesn't take place in winter. So it's not that wintry, but it is an iconic New Year's movie, and I have to watch it every New Year's. Battle of Narayama is a wonderful movie, but the winter, there's like this oncoming winter. That's the whole movie, is about the winter that's coming. So it's not winter the whole time. It ends on winter. Fantastic movie. Have to recommend it. Qui-Gon blew my mind this year. I watched this last year for the first time. There is 4 different stories in this, and only one of them is wintry. So I couldn't really put it on the list, but it would be on the list. It's so good. It's amazing, but it wasn't wintry enough to make the list. But that one short that is winter is The Snow Woman. It's so good. And then I was remiss that I didn't get any animation on this list, because I had an animation on both of the other lists. But there's a lot of animated Disney movies, but have like scenes of winter, like you were saying, not the full movie.
Like Bambi is like
that. There's a one of the shorts in Winnie the Pooh that's so good, but it's just one scene. Same thing with 101 Dalmatians, ends like with a bunch of snow everywhere, and it increases like that's like a crime thriller too. It's like a kid's crime thriller, and the snow makes it more suspenseful towards the end.
I mentioned Ikiru a little while ago. Hours ago, whenever this started. That is an astonishing movie.
I can't wait to see it.
So good, and it famously ends with him on a swing in the snow. A
lot of movies end on winter. Sad movies, like Umbrellas of Cherbourg. Umbrellas of Cherbourg also ends at winter.
True, yeah.
It's like a summer movie the whole time, and then it ends on Christmas. You've got, speaking of Jacques Demy, another film that has one winter scene is Donkey Skin, the scene where her mother dies. It's like winter, and she's in like that glass dome, like snow globe thing, and snow's falling.
The Empire Strikes Back, I thought of, but that's really only like the planet Hoth
Winter Planet.
sequence.
Yeah, it's always winter there.
I mean, it's one of the most
like Narnia.
iconic, like, snowy scenes of all time. Yeah. Have you ever seen Dr. Zhivago?
That's the big. I want to, but that's like the big long like epic. Is it really 4 hours?
Yeah, it's not that long.
It's probably like 3.5 or something.
It's a big one, but there's a famous, and it's not all snow. It's set in Russia, so you're gonna get snow. But there's a famous scene where they go to this.
There's so many movies.
House out in the middle of nowhere, and it's like it's covered in snow. Their snow has gotten inside, and so the whole thing's like this like ice palace kind of thing.
Yeah,
so, there's tons of movies that I could have picked.
Too many. Like I said at the beginning, like winter for some reason seems to be the season that directors can do the most with. I feel like it's the most relevant to like the plot,
the most
themes
moody
anyway.
Season maybe or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's this was the hardest list I had to make, but it was my favorite to put together because we got to talk about so many movies.
I love all of these movies.
They're all good. There was nothing on here like I feel like I had to reach for fall, but
or like not make things up, but you had to kind of stretch
the boundaries. This is like I had to cut it down. As we said, I had to cut out all of Christmas just to make it work because there was so many movies. Love talking about movies with you. Thanks so much for coming in, especially winter movies. We're still technically in winter, even though it's 72 degrees outside. But
still got our sweaters on.
I've got a couple more movies to watch before spring comes around. Maybe we'll do another video. Hopefully you guys enjoy this. If you do enjoy these longer like recommendation videos, discussion videos, let me know. We'll have John on more, and we can do these kind of things. I know the long run time scares some people away, so it's hard to decide where to put these things. But I'm trying to get you on a little bit more, kind of a podcast form.
Top 5 lists.
We should probably cut it down a little bit. That would shave off an hour.
Yeah, right.
But it was great. I had such a good time talking movies with you, and got to put all these back on the shelf. There's just movies everywhere on my desk right now. But we'll talk to you guys down in the comments below. Make sure you let us know your favorite winter movies, if there's some that we didn't mention. If there are any left that we didn't mention, there probably are.
What we need to see.
Let us know what we forgot, because there's always things that people miss. Everybody has blind spots. And we'll talk to you in the comments down there. Thanks again for joining me. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, keep collecting. And we'll be back with another one real soon.